We got the information we needed for Game Week 26. With Arsenal beating Chelsea in the EFL Cup, Arsenal will be the team that doubles in Game Week 26. However, we still have Game Week 25 to sort out. We need to decide what to do with Saka, and I wanted to bring you 3 midfield picks to consider, as well as looking at what the team looks like for Game Week 25. Welcome to my channel. I'm your host, Femi. Let's jump into it. All right, so we already know the news. Saka's out for up until probably Game Week 27. He's going to potentially miss the double game week, but we still have to figure out what to do in Game Week 25. So I'm having a little bit of a dilemma. Outside of Saka, I'm not sure who I really want to go with in terms of captain, and I'm looking at a couple midfielders for potentially a 1 week punt in his absence while I decide on my broader plan for Game Week 26 and who is my third Arsenal asset alongside Gabriel and Rice. I know there's a lot to think about. So let's just dive into who these 3 midfielders are and if you should be considering them for your squad moving forward. So the only right place to start is with a midfielder in Florian Wirtz. I've already talked about him this week on this channel, but he has 24 points in his last 3 games, an expected goal involvement of 8.82, which quite interestingly, the only midfielders higher than him in that category on the season are ones I already own in Fernandes, Enzo, Saka, who are already in my squad, Semenyo, and then Mbomo is an option who has a higher XGI, and then Sade, who's actually out with a red card suspension. So he has all of the metrics in his favor. He's doing really well right now with Liverpool, and they face a City side that has 1 win in their last 5. That's a very, very poor run of form for a team like City. So yes, do I think he could do well in this against them? Of course. And do I think he's a good pick? Definitely. But the challenge with Wirtz is the next 2 fixtures are away. Sunderland away and Forest away. So from an entry point perspective, it's not the greatest. After they have West Ham at home and Wolves away, which is awesome. So he's an interesting one in terms of maybe you shuffle other midfielders around because, you know, if you just want to not do a transfer in, transfer out, you may want to just buy him now and hold him. But he is definitely one of the best options, I think, in terms of a 1 week punt for Saka while I determine, you know, the ultimate strategy moving forward for Game Week 26. So now that's Wirtz. Let's go on to our second midfielder. Our second mid is Morgan Gibbs-White, another player I mentioned in a video earlier this week, but he has 15 points in his last 3 games. And interestingly, from an expected goal involvement, the midfielder he is just behind is Declan Rice. So I know a lot of you guys have just moved for Rice, and Morgan Gibbs-White has an XGI of 7.87, which is very comparable to Rice's. So it's quite interesting because if you're going to bring in Rice, why wouldn't you consider Morgan Gibbs-White? The next fixtures do look good. He plays Leeds and Wolves, a Leeds team that has 1 win in their last 5. So again, a team that's struggling for form. And, you know, it is a punt for me because I would probably be looking at this midfielder for 1 week, but he should be considered. You know, he's a great differential, under 4% owned, and, you know, he could do damage. Remember, the Wolves game is a revenge game, as he used to play for Wolves in Game Week 26. So for a 2 week punt, I don't mind it, and he's definitely someone that no one else has. Now let's look at my last player in terms of the third midfielder to consider for Game Week 25. So this player surprised me. He has more points in his last 3 than Florian Wirtz. It's Somerville at West Ham. 25 points in his last 3. He has 3 goals in his last 3 games. These are his only 3 goals on the season, so take that for what you will. And he's facing a Burnley side that has allowed 47 goals against, which is a very bad mark in the league. And if you watch the Burnley Sunderland game, which I did, Burnley did not look good at all. They were really easy to get after. And so West Ham with, you know, attackers in such as Somerville and Bowen who are in form, I think they could get a bunch of goals. So you could do a lot worse than Somerville, in my opinion. And these are all the 3 players that I'm definitely considering for a 1 week punt, because at the end of the day, you know, transfers are great, but the points are better, right? So if you can get a player that's in a good form and all 3 of these midfielders are, you know, top of the charts, near the top in terms of current form, why not take a chance on them? So these are the options. Let me know if you're going to go with any of these options, what your thoughts are in terms of midfielders to replace Saka with. And now let's look at how the team is lining up for Game Week 25. So here's how the team is lining up for Game Week 25. I was lucky to finish on 72 points because I got 2 clean sheets from Royce and Ballard, and that gave me a slight green arrow to just outside the top 5K. So ultimately, when I look at the lineup, I think I'm going to play a little bit of a goalie shift and put in Dubravka. I'm really just hoping for save points here. And with Sunderland away to Arsenal, I don't like that matchup for them. They've been one of the worst away teams in the league, so that does not look good. So hopefully Dubravka can get me some save points. Of course, Royce is the better keeper, so there's a little bit of competition there, and Sunderland is the better team, but we'll just roll the dice there. In terms of the defense, we have Chalobah, who has a strong matchup against Wolves away. Diouf, who could be a sneaky good pick against Burnley away. That's why I sort of brought him in early. So we'll see if that comes to fruition. And then Gabriel, a strong option at home. And then in the midfield, we have Enzo away to Wolves. Bruno Fernandes, who currently has a captain's armband, but I might change that because although Bruno's great, there's 2 things. I have a little aversion to the early kickoff, and also he's not really scoring a lot of goals. And I love midfielders who score goals. So it's a little bit of a tough one because his floor is probably really high, but the non-goal scoring really limits the ceiling. So we'll see about Bruno and the captaincy there. We have Declan Rice, who's also another strong captain option. Saka, who will be transferred out for a midfielder of my choice, and then Semenyo as well, away to Liverpool. And then up front, we have Haaland and Thiago. So I'm just really curious what you guys are thinking captaincy-wise, because it is a week you can go against Haaland, especially given their form, City. And ultimately, I'm going to be trying to think of, who the best option is for my squad as we look forward, and just focus on Game Week 25 and getting that right. And then in Game Week 26, we can go into who the right captain would be. Of course, the Arsenal assets look strong in Rice and Gabriel. They are also strong in terms of captaincy options. I think the game against Sunderland will be, a lot of corners and set pieces and a lot of attacking from an Arsenal perspective. So that's the video. Hope you liked it. If you like what you saw, please like and subscribe below, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.